Today, we tell the story of Fred Voccola, not just a CEO, not just a tech executive, but a builder, because this city was built by people who had to think differently. Out of the box isn't a personality trait here. It's the operating system. It's survival, improvisation, intuition, building without permission.
You are a cornerstone of the city, and you actually give a shit about making sure this city gets all it's worth.
What speaks to you the most out of all those things you've done and who you are?
Miami was a secret when we came here. When I started putting companies in Miami, the investment community, all those Wall Street people, they thought it was crazy. Why aren't you doing it in Boston or San Francisco or the Bay? And I'm like, you don't understand. The best people are here. And they'd say, well, think we could put other companies there? I'm like, no, don't put anybody else here. I don't want any competition. And I wrote about this in my book. When I say the word disruption, here's my view on white collar employment. I think we're going to see 20 to 50% of white collar jobs permanently gone. What we do at Simpro, it would have been impossible, highly unlikely for anyone to have credibility and say, we can change the profitability of a $500 billion industry. We can triple it immediately. That's insane. Everyone said, you'll never do it. Fuck you guys. You'll never build a scale business in Miami. Fuck you. You'll never make Kaseya more than just a
You like to be challenged like that because the people always dismiss you, always underestimate it. Hey, of course.
You know, these arrogant, entitled people that think they know everything, and it's like, no.
I wonder what your parents looking down right now, man, because I know they're watching. I know how much you love them, and they're there. What's making them proud right now?
My mom wants to make sure I'm being nice to people. Always be patient. It's so easy to just blow people off and be quick and allow the OCD or the rapid, it's be in the moment. My own man would say, get your ass moving. There's a lot of problems to fix, and then get your ass into the political arena so you can fix the biggest problems and make the most people in this great country better. I still remember before he passed, he was like, make sure people realize that when they think about me, they think about me as a father, a family man, and a patriot, and that everything I did for my family and I did for my country. My mother was the one always defending all of us in school. We get in trouble, and it was never our fault. Oh God, my sons would never do this. You get caught with a 6-pack of beer when you're 15 years old. It's like, that wasn't theirs.
For the people that say, is Miami really a builder city or a hype city? And so still a lot of people want to put it down regardless of how fast it's growing and saying, no, it's still a hype city.
Yeah, so I put my money where my mouth is.
Welcome to Miami Unveiled, a show about the city you think you know and the people you've never truly seen. It's not the skyline, it's not the headlines. This is the real Miami, bold, bruised, and burning with dreams. Now, Miami's not just a place. She's a force of nature. She carves you, she scars you, and she tests you. But if you survive her, she makes you part of her story. Today, we tell the story of Fred Voccola, not just a CEO, not just a tech executive, but a builder. And like most real builders, his story definitely doesn't start in a boardroom. It starts at home. A mother with empathy a mile wide, a father who believed technology should solve actual real problems, not impress people. From then, he learned simple rules: control what you can control, outwork everyone, and build things that matter. Working class, immigrant roots community, middle of 3 brothers, middle child, competitive, relentless, no patience for entitlement. And then Miami happened. 1992, a city that moved, a city that danced, a city where cultures collided instead of standing still. He was at University of Miami, but he left and he regretted it. But he already got that Miami feeling, and it never went away because Miami felt familiar to him. It was a city that was still powered by people betting on themselves. Immigrants, builders, risk takers, people who don't wait to be chosen and don't need permission to work. It's just about grit. But Fred's a product of the American dream as it was meant to be, earned, not inherited. He didn't fit the Wall Street mold. He thought differently. And conventional systems built on pedigree very rarely and don't always recognize instinct. But that's the greatness of this community, because Miami does. Because this city was built by people who had to think differently. Out of the box isn't a personality trait here. It's the operating system. It's survival, improvisation, intuition, building without permission. So Fred built company after company, scale, exit, repeat, including one that would put Miami on the global tech map, Kaseya. He doesn't decorate his thoughts. Fred delivers them. Tech for him isn't about status. It's about output. I think it's about systems. It's about merit over polish. And it's about winning together instead of keeping score. And when it came time to choose where to build, Fred Voccola kept choosing Miami, not for branding, but for people. Because Miami workers think differently. They understand risk because they've lived it. They care more about winning together than looking important alone. For Fred, Miami isn't a backdrop, it's a competitive advantage. And now, as the next technological era unfolds, an era he's written about in The Coming Disruption, he once again is positioning Miami at the center of it. But this time, around the backbone of the middle and working class, the trades, the operators, the people who actually keep a city running and have always kept Miami running. This isn't a tech story, it's a Miami story. And it's a story about what it costs to belong here and what it means to survive and then keep building. And if I sound like I understand survival, it's because I'm not just one of your hosts, I'm a son of this city too. And I know what it means to fight for your place inside yourself and inside these streets. And I recognize a certain way of thinking when I see it. No patience for empty authority, an instinct for patterns other miss. Direct, unfiltered, and the refusal to wait for permission to build. That's a mindset the city understands and a mindset the city needs. So alongside my co-host and dear friend Eugenio Robaina, an adopted son of Miami who's building companies in his own right, scaling them in the next generation of the city's story, we welcome not just a guest, but a man who keeps choosing Miami and keeps betting on his people. This is the Miami and the Fred Voccola you never knew. This is Miami Unveiled, and we're your hosts, Fred Menachem and Eugenio Robaina Reiter.
Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome. What do you think, man? It's pretty well, right? Let's get it.
Got it right? You look at that. It definitely made me seem like a real person.
Well, you know, we're reality. Exactly. All right, Jim. How's my psychoanalysis? Good?
Your psychoanalysis is excellent.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mother and father would appreciate it.
They would?
They
Well, from what I understand, you have amazing parents, but we'll get into that. So what's happening, man? Thanks for
coming here. Beautiful studio. This show is awesome. What you're doing here is awesome.
Thank you.
I love the city. And you are a cornerstone of the city. And you actually give a shit about making sure this city gets all it's worth.
Yep.
And, you know, when we both came to Miami a long time ago, all three of us. And Miami was a secret when we came here. You know, when I started putting companies in Miami, you know, the investment community, all those Wall Street people, they would, they thought it was crazy. Why aren't you doing it in Boston or San Francisco or the Bay? And I'm like, you don't understand. The best people are here. And they'd say, well, I think we could put other companies there. I'm like, no, don't put anybody else here. I don't want any competition here. So we had a nice secret for a while. And the secret's out now. And what you're doing is great. And what you're doing for the community is awesome. So thank you.
Thank you, man. We're both very proud of what we're doing. And you know, we hope that people continue to watch and enjoy this. And we really get to tell the story of who we are. By the way, though, and I know we have a lot of things to talk about, but since you said when you first came in 92, you did build a business out of your dorm. Was that here in Miami or was that in Boston?
That was in Boston.
Okay.
That was in Boston.
We'll talk about that later, but still, you have an entrepreneurial mindset, clearly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you always like to talk about the introduction at the beginning.
Well, actually, in Cuban tradition, there's a lot of effort that obviously goes into those introductions. What spoke to you about this? What speaks to you the most out of all those things you've done and who you are?
You know, what spoke to it was, you know, as we get older, we learn different things in life. And people talk about what's important. You know, when you're 25 years old, you're trying to establish yourself in the world. You want to make money, build a company, you know, start a family, whatever things are going to be. And as we get, at least as I get older, I think about how lucky that I was to have the experiences that I had that allowed me to accomplish and be open to meeting the people that have helped me, you know, accomplish some of the things that I've been lucky enough to be a part of. Started with my parents. I mean, every time someone talks about my parents, it hits right away.
You glow, man.
Yeah, because they were literally the greatest. Everyone has the greatest parents in the world. Mine were the greatest parents in the world. I was so fucking lucky. I cannot imagine. It's one of the reasons I try to spend a lot of time with like at-risk kids, because if you don't have parents, it's such an advantage. It helped me so much. And I can't even explain it. And the unique time, how I was raised, and I came about it, just very blessed. And I can't imagine where I'd be without that.
You know, look, my dad died when I was 20. So, you know, not having that, no, it's, yeah, but no, I'm saying that not having those. And I remember working with foster kids too. And like not having a home where you receive that type of love, you're already starting on
Yeah.
but you were talking. So when we chatted, right? The last time we chatted, you were talking a bit about, you just spoke about your parents, but I think there's a little more to talk about because your mom, empathy, and your father, what he built. And so why don't you talk for a moment about just sort of more specifics about
and
what they
Millie
gave
Grand household, right?
Yeah. So,
they gave you. So
excuse me. So, yeah, my father's family, they all came in from Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's where they immigrated towards. Bridgeport, Connecticut's an interesting city. Leave it at that. And I think that when I look at my mom and dad, so they both, my mom grew up very, very poor, and my father was an immigrant coming through, or his parents were immigrants.
Italian and Irish. Who was
Italian.
dad? Was Italian? Or
Dad was Italian, mother was Irish. Yeah.
Harry, right?
Harry Giuseppe, actually.
There you go.
Yeah. And one of the things that I was very fortunate about. So my father loved this country, and I think his father loved this country, and it was adopted country, and it's what made very, very proud of it. Remember, we were fighting a war with the Italians in World War II.
That's right. Oh, because your dad.
Yeah. So it was not very popular at the time to be Italian. So a lot of the Italian American societies were together, and the Columbus Society and Knights of Columbus and things like that. So, and one of the things was the incredible pride in America. So my father did not speak Italian.
Right. He was first generation.
Yes, he was born here.
Right. He didn't speak Italian. Maybe they didn't want him to.
Exactly right. I said, you're learning English. You're an American.
Yeah.
And learning English. Very, very different, right? And I remember, so his, he was able, he was the Vietnam era, so he got drafted like everyone else did, and spent a lot of time, in military intelligence and working for the government and stuff. And then he went to the private sector, and he always said that the best, I still remember before he passed, he was like, make sure people realize that when they think about me as a father, a family man, and a patriot. And that everything I did for my family and I did for my country. I mean, these are like last words kinds of things. It was very, very powerful. So, and then after he met my mom when he was working for the government, and they're like totally different people. If you met my dad,
Was your mother also born here?
my mom was born here. Yeah, she was born here. Her family came from Ireland. And you talk about opposite ends of the spectrum. My mother can talk. If she was on this show, there wouldn't be a word for anybody else. She just
Mom's still alive?
No, both my parents passed last year. My mother can chachadon like anyone you could never imagine. I mean, you find she'll talk to a random person walking down the street and make a best friend. And then she'll adopt them, bring them home, feed them, clothe them, and say they can stay with us forever. She was just her heart was like as big as this freaking room.
There's another guy that I know like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I would have been hanging out with your mom. Trust me, I would have been that. Time, yeah, for sure.
My mother was the one always defending all of us in school when we get in trouble. I mean, it was never our fault. Oh God, my sons would never do this. My son's friends with good kids. You get caught with a 6-pack of beer when you're 15 years old. She's like, that wasn't theirs. And the cop's like, I have them on video. Mom's like, well, the video's fake.
Sure.
No, she was great. But yeah, so they met. And when my dad met her, he realized he couldn't be running around doing the different stuff with the intelligence community. So he's like, I have to go and get like a real job. I'm gonna have a family.
This was because later on he made a lot of money, but this was when you were young, right?
It was before I was born.
Because you grew up in different circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't grow up with wealth at all. You didn't realize you were poor at that level, but you were in a sense.
Yeah. So,
working class.
Yeah. So I was a working class guy. My dad worked for the intelligence community.
Right.
I mean, it's a nice job.
It's incredible how you don't make it like the most important job in the
unbelievable.
world, working for, protecting
us.
Country. It's don't even get me. That's another conversation.
Fucking injustice.
It's complete injustice, but that's,
I am the most overpaid person in the world.
Yeah. There's this, you're making a point that is valid. Yeah.
So he said, he's going to have a family. And he's like, well, I got to start trying to get work. And he was one of the early people in computers. This is a long time ago. And so, he got into computers and he started a company and just went off from there. And he was always looking at solving problems with technology.
Systems.
Datacom, when they started, it was data processing. Data processing was like AI of today. Here's what data processing is. And I'll tell you a story because Miami was a customer of theirs. So if you go way back to like the 60s and 70s and you look at the revenue of municipalities like New York City and the city of Miami and Miami Beach, the majority of the revenue, the majority of the non-tax-based revenue is parking meters.
Miami especially.
Yeah, parking meters. It sounds crazy. Most small municipalities, parking meters is a big source of revenue. So people wouldn't pay the meter and they get a ticket. So if I park every single day on Flagler Street and I don't pay my meter and I get a ticket every single day, if there's no data processing, there is no way they can know if I have one ticket or 1,000. So my father and his partner started a company where in a computer, which is probably 35 feet long by 25 feet high and weighs 8 tons and processed as much as our iPhone does. But they built an application that allowed for the parking ticket processing. So a meter maid can call on their radio, call into the computer operator and say, license plate ABC123. They would key it up and they would say, wow, that's Fred Voccola's car. He has 17 tickets. Put the boot on it.
This was the first of its kind.
They could have just called me in those days. That would have gone.
Yeah, you got all the boots.
Right now, just
So they put the fucking boot on the car, and now I have to go pay my tickets or I can't get my car unbooted. So parking ticket revenue exploded.
because they were able to extrapolate that.
100%. So they got every major contract in all North America, New York, Detroit, Chicago, Miami. I remember Dad talking about the Miami contract, and boy, things were corrupt back then. There's some stories there, but it was insanity. You go from collecting $50,000 a year of tickets to 10 million.
Your dad built this?
Yep, they built it.
He
Patented and built it.
your dad, and I think like you, I mean, I think you have some of this too, believed, he liked to solve problems, right? More than hype. It was like really believed and impact over wealth.
Yeah.
I think you said that to me.
100% impact over wealth.
That's where you get, you're very nuanced guy. You have a lot of votes here.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like when you hear my father talk about it, it was always how much they changed the financial realities of these cities. So you don't have to raise taxes. You're collecting the parking tickets. The collection rate went from like 7% to 97%.
And then
Massive.
And that's
Massive. And then the coolest story about my old man was, business story anyway, was
But hold on, that also had an implication that now people started paying for parking.
100%.
So
It paid for parking. I mean, it changed everything. If you look at it changed everything. Look it up, Datacom.
like
Datacom
which geographies they went across?
across the U.S. and they went international. They built the business really well.
Wow.
no.
And the next thing they did with that
early
company,
days of-
so it's just data processing. Like today, data processing is simple, but in the 70s, it's,
Then create an application.
You had the good data. Even in politics, I remember, was not like today. It was,
and this is 10 years before Apple had a computer.
That's crazy.
Think about that. It's all mainframe, green screens. So then
What's the story?
coolest thing is the easy pass stuff. So we all think, I mean, listen, man, I've been so lucky, so blessed to see this happening in like real time. Because they all fun. I mean, it wasn't the days of venture capital and private equity. They just started the business, had to make a profit from day one. Didn't take any money out for like 9 years. I mean, it was interesting times. And
People don't realize how young venture capital is, and risk capital in the way we know it today.
it's, my father told me, a couple of years back,
Capital markets were thin
yeah,
or non-existent.
and he's like, how much money would I have made if I was your age? I'm like, Dad, you'd be like Elon Musk. Like, I mean that.
He was that.
Because here's some vision for you. So we grew up in New Jersey. And in New Jersey, for those people who may be familiar with the lovely state of New Jersey and all of our pollution, there's a road called the Garden State Parkway.
Yeah, of course.
It goes down to the Jersey Shore. And every summer, everybody gets out and drives to the Jersey Shore, trying to get like a little beach time.
Are
And
you a Springsteen fan, by the way?
I like his music.
Okay, no.
I don't know if I like him, but I like that music.
Right, no, but I love the
His
music.
music is legendary.
Well, he changed a bit of it.
He did. Jovi too. He got a Bon Jovi,
Yeah.
man. Lives right across my house.
Because they got.
Jovi's awesome.
Yeah, me too. I love.
Great music.
Anyway, I totally went on tangents. They're good.
No, it's good, man. That ADD stuff. I got it,
Yeah,
brother. I got it.
No, but it always goes back.
So driving down the Jersey Shore, you go to the Raritan Toll Plaza, and you're fucking sitting there for an hour to throw a fucking quarter into a toll booth. And it's the most frustrating thing. No rhyme or reason. So I still remember my dad saying, we're going to change this. And one of my dad's childhood friend, John Puglisi, rest his soul, was
Shout out
in the
to
car
John
with us.
Puglisi.
And I was maybe 12, 10. And my dad was explaining to John Puglisi how the next thing they're going to do is they're going to change this and you're going to drive right through it, 55 or 65 or 70 miles an hour. And, this is like the 80s. So the technology to do that is as cutting edge as it gets. So I saw, fast forward over 5 years, they implemented the first electronic toll collection systems in the world. And they implemented them not just in,
toll by plate,
pardon me?
toll by plate, or
Toll by plate, Easy Pass, Sun Pass, all of it.
That's insane.
Every one of them.
no way.
Every one of
It's
them.
insane.
They did them in Brazil, all around the world. And I was like, then I eventually got the college. It took a long time to get this done. So I'm sitting there, and then of course, the company sold to Lockheed. They did very, very well. And I was like, oh my God, like I didn't really realize it. So my junior year of college, I did at a marketing class, and the industry that my dad kind of started was called the ITS industry, Intelligent Transportation Systems, taking defense technology and applying it to transportation problems in the United States. And he actually started an association called ITS America, which is now, it's just changed everything. All the telematics in your car, all that stuff.
That's insane.
So I did a
case study.
And you did, by the way, you worked in R&D, and which is interesting because later on they had some of your dad's. If you think about it,
100%.
am I wrong?
No, you're
Ways
100%
of-
right.
Look at me, God. Of
100% right.
course,
Ways
and
of
I think
organization,
I could
yeah.
start bringing. I'm going to start talking about that. By the way,
So I did a case study
right.
in my marketing class at college in my junior year, and it was one of the coolest things because as I did the research, I was like, holy shit, this is my old man. Like it's the first time it hit me that he's the smartest person I've ever met. That was when I realized, he's not just like my dad who yells at me for being an idiot. And
Well, that's. Do you think? So I know your dad, and from what I learned speaking to you, and just reading and stuff, was a systems guy, right? But he also had to been entrepreneurial on some level.
oh yeah,
I mean, because you have both sides of that. But I mean, you always talk about him very quietly build systems, but he had to have been. I mean, you don't build something like that.
came up with these ideas. He sold them, and every
I mean,
entrepreneur
did he actually go? I mean, he was
Oh, yeah.
pitching it.
Oh, he knocked on the door. He sold Mayor Dinkins on New York City.
Short me.
Yeah. Mayor Dinkins and Koch
Yeah.
on the
Okay, Kyle. So, oh my God,
I got pictures of
one of my gente, all of my people.
Dinkins and stuff. Oh yeah, these were big deals. I mean, it was so. Later, my dad was one of the people in the company called Navtech, Navigation Technologies, which did all. If you look at your phone, everyone in your audience knows if you use route guidance, if you should plug in an address in your phone, well, you're using the navigable map. Was invented by Navtech, which a guy named Russ Shields started. My father and them all went into it, and they built it from zero, and they sold to Nokia for God knows how many billions. And I still remember, I love my dad. I love telling the story. He says, so this is now, I'm probably 23, 22. And my dad's like, hey, Fred, let me ask you a question. I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, I'm going to Microsoft. I'm meeting with the guys up in Redmond. I'm like, who are you meeting with? He goes, I'm meeting with a guy named Steve Ballmer. I'm like, oh, number 2 guy, Gates is still there. He's like, yeah, he goes, and we're going to license our maps onto their computers. They want to put into the operating system. How should we charge for this?
How old were you at this point?
22, 23. I started a couple of
He would bring you in and tell you.
He's like, what do you think? He's like, you're young, you know this shit.
I'm like, go with my dad, all his clients, by the way, always took me.
Coolest thing in the world. We'd talk about business. It was great. And I'd be like, so you're going to try to license this map into all of Microsoft's computers. I asked for a couple $100 million. I don't fucking know.
You just made it up.
Totally. He's like, all right, I'll try it. And it was fat. Like you talk about entrepreneur. A big part of being an entrepreneur is you don't know. You got to give a shot. You got to try shit. You got to pivot. You got to do different things. And learning that you're going to make 10 mistakes. You learn real quick. You make an adjustment. You find the problem and you solve it.
And I think today's world, unfortunately, it's not, people don't respect that as much, in certain ways. But let me ask you a question about that because, I think, and again, I'm doing my psychoanalysis, but but I just love people, man. And I really like to learn. And it's just because I do, I care. And, it seems like your dad, and probably because of your father and your mother too, by the way, I think they're both the way you describe them, but you're not intimidated by any way. No pedigree, doesn't matter. You can talk to anybody, right? Like president to the janitor, doesn't matter. Respect everybody equally and not intimidated because the reason why I bring this up is you just mentioned going to the second guy at Microsoft and you're like, am I wrong about that though?
No, it's true.
That's your sort of your DNA, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I guess because my mom and dad, one of the things that they did, I think was a great parenting lesson is, and I see it in my brothers, they do it with their kids. They don't treat their kids like children around adults.
Right.
They engage in conversation. It's not like, go to the kids' table. We're going to talk about adult stuff now. It's like, no, let's talk about it. So I remember my father and mother were talking like about politics or talking about quote unquote adult things when I'm 9, 10 years old. I may not have been able to comprehend it, but just seeing them interact with their friends or, like it was a great lesson. So, even when my father's friends would come over, my mom's friends would come over, it was always respectful because they were adults, but it was always engaging.
Yep.
And it was not talking down to a child. It was, what do you think? My mother was a huge baseball fan.
Oh,
And
she was? Yeah.
huge. And
What team?
I hate to say the Yankees.
She's a Yankees fan. Interesting. All right.
Dad, die-hard Red Sox.
Oh, that's interesting.
Die-hard. So, of course, I'm a Red Sox.
Wait, the dad was the Italian, like Providence. I'm kidding. He's not from Boston, right?
No, my dad's from Connecticut, right? So right on the border.
Okay, well, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, and my mom just fell in love with the Yankees and Derek Jeter and all that. My little brother was an older brother, very good baseball players. So we would talk
You're a
about
football player, by the way.
Yeah, I was a bench warmer in football.
Yeah. Okay, whatever.
But they would. I remember talking about sports and having serious sports debates about who's the best baseball player, who's the best hitter, the best team, and even as a kid, it was always conversations among equals. So to your point,
And you also never give it a free pass. I do this with my 5-year-old. There's nuance on everything. Like you're talking about dogs, that's simple, but it's a dash hound. It's not just a dog.
yeah,
You're talking. The other day, a 5-year-old came and said, "Dad, we need a bigger house," and I'm like, "Let's walk through it. Let's see how we get there." And that nuance, if you give them the ability, it goes from here to here very quick. I think we all have a responsibility to be a better parent than our parents. I wanted to ask you, sorry for a parenthesis, but how much is luck versus control? How much of it is related to luck? How much is related to what you can control? And what really makes a winner? And for those of us that have the opportunity or the ability or just the luck to have had great parents, just from loving you and caring you and encouraging you, to then others that have also the opportunity to see a bold parent that went and did and never stopped. Like how much is that and how much then is under your control? Do you see that? Do you think about that?
I don't know if I think about it.
Okay.
I recognize how lucky I've been.
Okay.
There's lots of kinds of luck, to your point. I think I've been lucky enough that I was born healthy.
Yeah.
I was born in the best country in the history of the world. And there's 300 roughly million Americans, and there's 5 billion people in the world. The last time I checked, 6 billion, 7 billion. So we're lucky to be born here.
Yeah, we are.
That's like just lucky to be healthy. Lucky to, and when I was 20 years old, I didn't appreciate that. I freaking appreciate that big time. I was so lucky, as I said, to have my parents. So I think luck is at probably 50% of it. Probably 50%.
Yeah, but it won't get you there if you don't have the other part.
No, because you can't, there's no guarantees for success. First of all, how do you define success? If you're talking commercially, but whatever success is, I would say hard work is not going to guarantee you anything. But if you don't work hard, you're reducing your chances by a factor of 1,000.
Resilience goes a long way.
Resilience, grit, surrounding yourself with the right people, not making stupid mistakes when you're younger, not, getting caught up with the wrong crowd.
Right.
I was so lucky, like little things. So we were talking earlier, I've never tried any drug in my life. I'm probably the only person in this lovely city who's ever smoked weed. I've never eaten a brownie. I played sports, so we got tested for it when I was a kid, but I never did it. And I never did it because my parents didn't beat me over the head and say, we're going to beat the crap out of you to come home. So it's just, be careful. It's not good. And thank God I had that. I have so many friends that ended up in rehab.
We talked about that, right?
Geez.
Overdoses, rehab, right?
Terrible, or not, when I was growing up, it wasn't always cool to do well in school.
Right.
Like I was a nerd. I loved school. And I was lucky enough that, if someone gave me shit, I'd smash them in the head. But older kids, if you do well in school, you nerd, you're in the smart classes. I remember my dad being like, your brain, just F them, forget them. It's just little things like that. So that's luck, man.
Yeah.
That's like, I was so fortunate. And then another thing, I've had the same best friends since first and third grade.
Yeah, we talked about
Rob, Miles, Dave, these guys, been like at the same core, Dominic, same core group of friends since I was a little kid. Because something about where I grew up, those values of at the same, it's just so lucky.
What do you think? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But because you brought up, we're talking now, we have to move. We have so many things to talk about, but, we're all shaped and built around people that influence us in lives. And I think all of us have friends, but what do you think the key traits And I understand your parents for the moment, but friendships, why have those friendships lasted? What keeps those friendships together?
Yeah, because a lot of my, like I have this, like the same couple of best friends. I was at them the other day.
I'm with you.
Like my buddy Rob.
Yeah.
Known him since literally earliest memories of life are Rob and my brothers. My buddy Miles and Dave and Dom and all these guys. I think that we all had really good parents.
Yeah.
So we were all effed up in our own ways, but we also have that weird sense of just no matter what, if any of those dudes called me, I don't care if it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm in Australia, I'm on my plane coming back instantly. If I don't see them for 7 months, which we all promise never happens, I'll see them for 7 months or 9 months, it doesn't matter.
Of course.
It's strange. And, it's among men or guys, we grew up in the era where you don't talk about things a lot. There's no secrets, there's never, we've all been around each other and we've all fucked up. We've all made mistakes. We've all gotten smacked in the head, crushed, destroyed. And there was never a inter-competitiveness within us. Just
that's,
good or even a healthy one. Like, bounce out of each other. You see this person going up, it inspires, and you go.
I mean, I to be honest, no, like genuinely, I think one of the things that lucky with is we're genuinely happy for each other.
Yeah, no, of course.
And it's you say that, but man, so many people.
Oh no,
they don't have the ability to genuinely be like, I'm so happy for you.
It's a real people, I think, and I always talk about this. I don't know. I was built different, maybe. So I always know because human nature can be a very fucked up thing. Yeah. And the thing is about human nature, I always say I wasn't given like the certain battles that other people have because thank God, some things are not as hard for me and some are. But, the thing about living in a civilization, I always say is that yes, we all have human nature. There's selfishness, all this, but it's learning how to evolve, right? And fight those things. And what you're saying to your point is that no, most people just either they don't care about evolving, or they just literally live in their, and live in a false reality. And so, and I think that just speaks to what you're talking about. Most people don't have the ability, and that includes relationships. Everything's a relationship, marriage, work, and they can't go past that. And unfortunately, I think that's why we have so many problems in the world. I don't know where that tangent just came from, but no, because you're a people guy, and you're a very emotional guy in many ways from your mom and your dad's systems, right? That's kind of the architecture.
Systems and vision.
Built, but that's always been the blueprint. Not that complicated, right?
Yeah, and
and
I'll tell you, that's what makes, just moving on to Miami a little bit. That's what makes, but when I first came here, I love telling the story. It was the pre-internet days.
Fell in love with Miami in 92, right?
1992, baby. Hurricane Andrew. I was here for 2 weeks when Andrew.
I lived in Galway Glen, man.
That was bad. That was a bad one. And it was a real bad one. And
crazy.
It was nuts. But so I came down here and we didn't have cable TV. We didn't see a lot of things. So for a white kid growing up in the middle of nowhere, New Jersey, to come down here to Miami was culture shock. I mean, the town I grew up in had a lot of Italian, a lot of Irish, a lot of Polish immigrants and later on people. But I mean, I think I took Spanish in high school. I was like, hola. My Spanish teacher was freaking whiter than me, was my Spanish teacher was like Greek or something.
But what brought you?
Well, I got a scholarship to come down here. So I could go to school for free. And I still remember this. I came down and went to Ocean Drive.
92. Ocean's like God, because I went to the spot. Bobby Brand opened it.
Went to the whiskey bar.
Do you remember the spot?
Yeah. I remember this.
Nicky Rourke and Bobby Brand.
Yeah.
I talked to Bobby Brand recently, man.
Is that Inferno at the Cameo on Sundays?
I used to see Billy Idol there a lot. I mean, it was nuts. Anyway, back to your story. So I'm getting to my own.
I came down. My older brother was going to school, so they dropped me off. And I met up with like my dorm mates. And I'm like, let's go to South Beach. I had no idea. And so I took a taxi, which was like $40 back then.
There's a
lot of money. Yeah, lots of money.
A lot of money for now.
I had my fake ID, which I don't think they even carded me here. But I was hanging out at the whiskey bar, probably having like my first like Budweiser drink. It was like some like a
very sophisticated $20 drink.
Yeah, $20 drinks. Oh my head. And then I remember hearing like Spanish being spoken, like it was regular. I was like, I honestly was like, oh my God. And it was either like fight or flight, and I loved it. I'm like, this is so cool. People were dancing, dude. Where I grew up, you'd get a party ball of Coors Light, put it in the middle of a freaking park, and sit around and drink. That was a Friday night. And it was just, it was crazy. And the emotional, like the Latin community is emotional. People hug each other.
Yeah.
They did. It really hit me, and I loved it. It was so different from what I had, and I fell in love with that. And as I got to know more and more about Miami, what I found was I loved the U, but I was spending more of my time like in the Grove, on the beach, Overtown. Like I just liked.
What are you doing? You hang out Overtown in the 90s? I don't know what those stories are. All right. Well, wow. Oh God, it slipped. We'll get to that. I split back. Right, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, you Overtown, but that's cool, man.
Oh yeah.
No, seriously, because I know this. Like I know. So you would go away.
Keep going.
You got no. You have chutzpah, as they say, right? But that's a war, man.
And it was, and I had such a. I remember my brother came to visit me. My brother was going to school in Boston, and he came to visit. He's like, "This is awesome." He's like, "This is awesome," and it was. Fell in love with the city, and there was nothing. The people, the dynamic, and this is like the cocaine cowboy days, right? This is not like it is now, but there was that energy. Like I knew I was someplace special. It's the hardest thing to explain. It was cool.
Do you know, though?
Hold on.
Yeah, please.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, because you're also talking about the group of people that are your friends, that I don't know if you can even draw a parallel of what makes you guys all have that ambition and drive and care for each other. But I think a big part of what we've talked about, even in the pre-interview, is that immigrant advantage.
Yeah.
That hunger versus pedigree. And forget pedigree. The immigrant energy, it's an economic weapon.
Yep.
If you know how to use it, if you know how to harness it. A lot of people are doing it. You've talked about how important that is and how you even would prioritize finding those people with hunger, whether it's an immigrant or not. But oftentimes it is coming from an immigrant that they've done so much to go and find an opportunity.
Yeah.
But for you, like, just talk a little bit about that. Like,
yeah. So I didn't recognize it when I was 18 years old as a freshman at university. So at University of Miami, half the kids there were from the Northeast and half the kids were local kids from Florida, Miami. And I had friends in both areas, but
did you feel like an immigrant family? You were like, nah, I mean, my parents you're like second generation.
So University of Miami is a private school, as you know. So you have back then, two different types of students. Students that were very well off, right, and students that were on scholarship or aid or, different areas. And the students that were well off weren't, capable of getting into like the Harvards, the Dukes, right, back then. And the other kids the U is the best school in Florida. So the kids that I kind of hung around with the most ended up being mostly local kids. And they were the kids that were on scholarship. So they were, like I said, from the immigrant family, but from that work, there were kids that were working class kids. And so, of course, I was hanging out in Doral, all these different places that, like, kids don't go.
I was like, yeah, like La Cuacha. Remember La Cuacha? I was like, right.
I was going to.
Right. Where I go the same places you went. No worry. It was him.
It was cool. But so I didn't really recognize it. I was back now as an adult. Yeah, it was the people. Like I was in the entrepreneurial like group, one of the clubs I joined when I was at UM, and it was filled with, I want to say Cubans, but I don't know, mostly Cuban Americans.
That's then it would have
that were all, and everyone's like, I want to start my own business. I want to start my own. What do you want to do when you graduate? Start my own business. It wasn't, I want to go work for Goldman or I want to work for Lehman Brothers, which was around back then, or Anderson Consulting or any of these places. It was, I want to go
fruit stand, VN Subway Guard, right?
I want to start a business. I want my own business. And it was cool. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. And this was before the tech era really hit, but that desire to change was there. And also these are the kids, and we would study late. We all wanted to get A's in our classes. And when you're in Miami in 1992,
yeah,
let me tell you about the distractions you'll see there when you're an 18-year-old boy. I mean, are you kidding me? It's a tough place to be.
Especially back then, you said it was a little different than it is there. Well, although it's here.
Yeah. And
suntan you back then, right?
But it was, we had Thursday night study group. So it was to your point, like I looking back, I recognize it. It was the grit. It was the discipline. It was the ability to say, I'm here. I'm going to get an education because I want to start a business, and I'm going to kick ass. And the social side of school was awesome, but it was For the group that I hung out with, it was secondary.
Right.
And I look back now, again, you talk about luck. I was so lucky because they were motivated to better themselves and they had the discipline to realize it. And I bet it came from their parents saying, I came over here, I learned a new language, I gave up everything. You're going to hump it and you're going to make yourself better. And it wasn't imposed on them. I think they probably saw it and there's a lot of similarities there. So yeah.
I think, you talk about expanded your worldview, obviously, so many things, but also in many ways, the values were similar. I mean, and that's really, if you break it down, and also tell me, and I get this, I'm saying, I feel very, we getting to know each other just only recently, but there's a lot, when we talked about that, I just feel very connected. I feel like I understand you. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think for Miami, growing up here, especially, probably validated you in a sense when elite institutions wouldn't, all the elitists being here, you didn't have to play that game. Right?
Oh yeah.
This in 92, that must have been like, wow, like none of this bullshit.
Yeah. I thought I was going to, so I thought I was going to go to Division I football school. I got hurt my senior year of football, so I couldn't play. And so I had to apply as like a civilian.
Right.
Right. I had really good grades and I was a nerd, right? So I studied a lot. And Harvard said no. By the way, Harvard's off my list for everything for a lot of reasons.
Hey, but by the way, you don't think I'm with you on that? Or we can spend the last 10 years. Right. You want to talk about, right? Well, that's another conversation.
Those Goldman Sachs. We'll talk about.
Oh, yeah, no, I believe it.
But no, but I
it's hard to be Jewish right now, by the way. What happened to me? Right. That would happen, right?
Yeah, right.
It's top of the ivy.
It's another topic.
Oh, yeah, no, certainly. Yeah,
Another
right, exactly.
awful what's going on.
Well, I know we could have another conversation with them.
But yeah, so, when I people said, you going to Miami? Go party school. And I'm like, yeah, fuck you, party school. You'll see. You'll see. And it's funny later on when.
So you saw that far. You could see that this was gonna be.
Yeah, like I didn't,
at least a place that you could build and do something.
Oh yeah, like when I tell the story all the time. When I left Miami, the one thing I regret doing in my life, I really wish I stayed at the end. But when I left, I remember saying, I'm going to have businesses here. If I ever get lucky enough, I'm going to move here and I'm going to put businesses here because all the kids I was in my classes with, I want to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
I want them. I want to make money with them. I want to do cool things with them. Like it was clear as day.
You understood the worldview here, the DNA, right? I mean, while other people, do you know a lot of times people come here, we talk about this, Miami employees suck, this and that, because they don't get it, but you saw it. The entrepreneurial mindset, the thinking out of the box. I mean, that's kind of what you saw, right?
So what do you tell people that say Miami's still hype over a city that can build?
I'm sorry, Miami's.
For the people that say, is Miami really a builder city or a hype city? And so here a lot of people want to put it down regardless of how fast it's growing and saying, nah, it's still a hype city.
Yeah, so I put my money where my mouth is, right? Yeah. So we put Kaseya here, 4,000 or 5,000 people worldwide, 2,000, 3,000 of them here in Miami. The only software company in the world that's scaled in Miami, Simpro. Move that here to Miami. We'll be 1,000 people in 24 to 36 months here in Miami. Another one of my businesses, Priva Medis. It's the largest private AI first,
it's AI.
personalized private medical business in the country. Move that here to Miami. We base that at Mount Sinai.
Cool.
I am 100% confident in telling anyone around the world, there's 2 cities that I would put a business in, Dubai and Miami. And I would do it in Miami and then Dubai. And not that other cities aren't good. There's lots of good places you can do it. But what we have in Miami is we have the city culture. Now, this doesn't mean that we have an immigrant culture. And what I mean by that is whether you're first generation, second, third, for someone to immigrate to another country I can't imagine if I had to get up and move to Japan and start over. I don't speak Japanese. Or if I had to move to Brazil, I don't speak Portuguese. Love jiu-jitsu, but I don't speak Portuguese. That's unfathomable for me to understand. But if I do it, and let's say I had lots of friends and I was a person of some affluence in my country, I have to go start over. That is what made America. And those people, I had a teacher in high school, Mr. Matson. This guy was so smart. And he said, America was founded by the losers of every other country that had the guts and the foresight to say, I don't want to be a loser. I want to be a winner. And I'm going to go and I'm going to start over and be a winner. That is what entrepreneurialism is, the ability to take risks, to make decisions with incomplete information, to make rapid pivots. If I move to Brazil tomorrow, I might try to start a software company. Oh my God, I got to pivot. Maybe I'll open a restaurant. Maybe I don't know what the frick to do. It's so hard. So that is in my opinion, especially in the era of AI, is the most important skill set for a workforce. It doesn't mean everyone has to be an entrepreneur,
No.
but you have to be entrepreneurial. Because if you can't pivot quickly, if you can't deal with uncertainty, if you can't make decisions with incomplete information, then a machine will do it better for it than you can. And this city is full of that. If you go to the high schools and you look at the kids when they're playing sports, they're doing it in an entrepreneurial way.
Yep.
Everybody innovates. Everyone challenges. That's how this city's DNA is. It's not just the first generation. It's the city's DNA. New York is not like that anymore.
No, it's a different, because in Miami, they didn't have to, well, early you had to assimilate, but later on you didn't have to. Speak the language. Look, Miami's one of the few places, and I love this about Miami, especially when I was younger, a physicist at the gas station I talked to, a guy freaking sitting at the gas station building his business, giving me his number so I can help just give him guidance or whatever. That's the immigrant spirit here. And that's what places like New York, they're different because it was a different kind of assimilation culture. And that's the greatness of Miami.
Yeah. And I think when you look at it, one of the things that makes Miami, in my opinion, the number one place in the world for any business, manufacturing business, healthcare business, software business, I have a publishing business here, restaurant, whatever it is. Forget about the things. It's a great tax climate. It's a great business climate.
Right.
Politics.
Beyond that.
The Democrats aren't crazy. The Republicans aren't crazy.
Right.
Everyone's just common sense. It's an urban area that's outstanding. Leave aside the beautiful weather and all that. The human beings that are here, if you're hiring 10 people, 7 of those 10 will be good hires. Anywhere else in the world, if you bat 500, you're doing great. So that's unheard of.
You just said, I'm going to stop you for a minute because I love this, by the way, because do you know how many people come to Miami? And it actually pisses me off, really pisses me off saying, Miami employees suck. They're lazy, this and that, because they don't. But you know how it happens all the time.
Hire people.
I can't stand it.
Yeah,
because they don't understand. They walk in here and they expect same way you were going Wall Street when that shit happened with you wanted to work on Wall Street and they were like, no, you're arrogant, whatever. It's the same concept. They don't get it, and so they shit on it. But I'm seeing. Let me just finish real quick, if you don't mind. Just 1 second, because I don't want to forget my idea, which I do. But you see, it's freaking right. I interrupt and people don't get it sometimes. But when, my God, making myself laugh today. But when, I love that new people are coming here and contributing, and I think it's amazing, but I also don't like when they come here and then complain about everything about our community and shit on our workers and our people. So that's really what I was just making that point. And I find that's something that I really find frustrating. And you see that, I'm assuming, right?
I do. There's a phrase I use, I call it native Miamians or homegrown Miamians, like people who are born here or spent a long time here. A lot of people have moved to our wonderful city and we welcome them. That's freaking awesome, right?
Yeah.
I like to hire the homegrown kids.
Yep.
Homegrown people, because it's a little easier to make sure that you're getting that DNA. If Melissa Smith moved out here from, Chicago 9 months ago, that's a little different than Melissa Smith, who's been here for 20 years.
Yep.
Or who grew up in South Miami or whatever it may be. So I think that the homegrown or the native or the, whatever phrase is used, it's a different DNA. And the people who, I had this debate on another program, and they were asking me, well, the Miami work ethic, look at our city, compare it from 1992 to today. If you're telling me that you don't think this city there's no work ethic better than the city, because you do not do what this city has done from the dark days of the early 90s to now, where it's probably one of the 2 most desired locations on this planet for business, leisure, pleasure, everything. It doesn't happen if it's a bunch of lazy people.
No, but it's the thing is that, again, it's people trying to put people in a box of how they should work. Here we go out, we do things Fridays, but we're working during that time on weekends, and it's again, it's exactly why you love it. Let me. We have a limited time, which sucks because we have but there's a few. I wanted to point something out because one of my concerns, and you're a guy that grew up, and you're going to get this, and this is. I say we're a victim of our own success in many ways, right? Blue collar guy, grow up, you're starting Simpro here, which we'll talk about soon, or it's starting it. And it's such a Miami thing, but we have the people that help build this community and their kids can't live here. And I understand economics and all of that, but we're losing that DNA. And I don't know if you have a solution or anybody does, but there's got to be a way. You hire those kids, I know, but then they can't afford to live. And so I know that you're that nobody has an answer, but you've been around, and I think that you'd be probably sensitive to that.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
It's an interesting challenge. So I have a company, Simpro.
Mm-hmm.
It's an AI first operating platform for the trades. So basically, I'll tell you what it does, and I'll answer the question as why I put Simpro here.
Well, it's more of a conversation.
Yeah. But it's very relevant because I made the decision again to do that in spite of the.
And I love it, by the way. I think this is that's what this community is.
So the company Simpro, our customers are the commercial and large residential contractors around the world. So think about this wonderful studio. There's a company that comes and manages all the HVAC. They manage the plumbing, all that stuff. Or at the Kaseya Center, the companies that service it or the office buildings. They manage all the fire safety and the facilities and all that things. So those businesses, 99% of them are companies of 100 employees or fewer.
Yep.
Maybe 200 employees or fewer. They're all entrepreneur-owned and run small businesses, 20 to 250 employees. And these are the trades. The trades are really the society's second responders. So think about what that means. God forbid something happens. 9/11, I was down at 9/11. They're police, fire, military, healthcare. They come in right away and do their thing. Immediately following come the trades to make sure that power's on, electricity's there, water's running.
They're equally critical if you really think
they're
about
critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
And, here's a crazy statistic for you. Over 90% of employees in the trades make up our middle class, 95%. And more than 99% of those employees are employed by a small business owner who has less than 250 employees.
You're talking about here or across the country?
Across the country.
Really?
Miami's no different.
Right.
And the average trade business makes 6% profit margin. That's it. So if the person's doing $2 million of revenue, employing 20 people, or 10 million, employing 50 people, they're making $500,000 of profit, which sounds like a lot, but 2 bad months, they're out of business.
So talk us through Simpro a little bit more. So because maybe I missed it, but
so that's the problem that we solve. So what we've constructed, and AI has allowed us to do it,
right,
is a comprehensive operating platform that allows any one of these commercial and residential contractors. It changes how they run their business. It changes their cost basis. It changes their revenue basis. So their profit margins go from 6% to 20%.
Because you're automating?
We automate. So a simple example.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a commercial electrical company, and you're managing 25 office buildings, and you have 50 electricians. And those electricians can do 6 jobs a day.
Right.
Now they can do 10. The cool things about it is we are bringing AI to the middle class, and we are changing the unit economics of the middle class entrepreneurial business owners. And it is so cool. Man, I don't need any more money in my life. I just need to do cool shit that's innovative. And my old man's looking down at me. He's going to say, that's a big problem you solved. There are millions of these contractors in the Western world, and they're struggling. They're business owners like my dad was. They come home from work. They're like, am I going to be able to make payroll?
Yeah.
And they're doing important things. They're keeping the schools heated or cooled in Florida, right? They're doing important things, keeping your toilets from backing up, right? So that's pretty neat. Now, when I looked at this business, I'm like, I'm going to put it in Miami. And the reason Miami is every company, whether it's Kaseya, Identify Software before that, or Privametis or Simpro, you need the DNA of the company to be about the customer. Like any company out there, I don't care what business you're in. I don't care if you're changing tires or sending people to the moon. Any company that's not customer-centric is just stupid.
And with Alan,
These ivory tower, Booz Allen, McKinsey people, they think they know everything. These Harvard guys, let me tell you something.
with their freaking proposal.
Go talk to 100 customers. Every founder on, be talking to customers, right? And every company's employees should look like the DNA of their customers. So Miami is a city of gritty, middle-class, entrepreneurial people.
So that's what you hire.
That's what we're hiring. And we hired 15 today.
Really?
Yeah, 15 today. I got the number earlier when they came in. And they all didn't start today, but we extended 15 off.
What is the lion's share focus of the employees from a distribution point of view at Simpro?
Yeah, so
What do they focus on?
yeah, we have engineering folks,
A lot of engineering.
all AI first. This is a super cool stuff. We have sales, we have marketing, we have business development, we have customer success, which is a super cool part of any
That's very important, right? That's what a lot of companies. This is our friend Liam works in this company, the pool business, New York. But anyway, and that was their biggest weakness, because you have to engage the company, and people forget that important.
Yeah, especially when you're dealing with a small business, 80-person company. You put a system in place, they don't know how to use it necessarily. They got to make sure they're successful.
How do you stumble into this problem? What was this backstory there?
At Simpro, so I left Kaseya.
You could have chosen any problem to solve.
I wrote a book. I did some things.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I got a buddy, Ben Levin. He owns a private equity firm, venture firm called Level Equity. I've been friends with him for a long time. I got him into jiu-jitsu. He's a good friend of mine. And he's like, Fred, you should take a look at this asset. Because when you're ready to get back into it, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to go back into it. He goes, Fred, you'll be back into it in like 4 weeks. And so, I got my curiosity. So looked at it. I'm like, maybe I'll join as chairman. And I was like, wow, this is a market. This should be a $10 billion.
You like to solve shit. I mean, besides doing good stuff. No, of course.
So damn big.
By the way, you're also contributing to the future because people are going to lose their jobs if you don't do this.
100%.
That's the reality. AI can complement human beings, but if you didn't do something like this and people don't, they're going to lose. I mean, it's going to.
Yeah, and it can be huge. We can impact. This will be a company. This will be the largest technology company in the state of Florida in 4 years, and this will be the next great scaled up Miami.
It will have a labor market shockwave. What do you think that does to like white collar versus blue collar? Like, what is your prediction here?
Talking about AI.
What does it do? Like, especially this type of solutions. What does it do to employment?
So
who wins? Who matters more?
yeah, so take a step back and talk about AI. AI is by far the most powerful productivity tool in the history of our species. More than the wheel, more than fire, more than the written word, more than coinage, more than electricity, more than the microprocessor, by far. And for the first time in our existence, we have a productivity tool. It doesn't improve our productivity in doing the work. It does the work for us.
Or, well, let me interrupt if I might, because I think it can be the most amazing thing, right? The most dangerous thing, right? So you say it does the work for us, but is that necessarily accurate in a sense? Like, for example, it makes me smarter, right? Because I'm sure you do the same thing, because I use it, I fight with it, I argue, I jailbreak it. No, so when I say that, you're saying with repetitive tasks it can do the work, right? With automated type stuff. That's what you're referring to,
I think
right?
it can do. I think what it can do, we'll be able to do very, very soon. Yes, on the repetitive tasks, it can do the work.
Right.
A machine can write software better than a person today.
Right.
Writing software is not a repetitive task. I'm a nerd. I don't know about anymore, but I was a great software architect when I was architecting software.
And now you're like, I freaking can't even compete, right? With
Yeah,
this.
so Claude can write software better than I can, period. Better than most of my, if not all of my engineers. I have great engineers. So,
right.
we're in the beginning of 16. So what that means is if you're a copywriter, if you are a marketer, so we have something called content marketing. Content marketing creates ebooks, all sorts of content about our business so people can find us. We're putting all sorts of stuff out there. We had 20 plus people in that department a year ago. Now we have 2. And we're producing 500 times the content. And
What happens?
just go.
Right. But I mean, that's just,
So what I
people
thought,
have to reskill. I mean,
yeah, and
right.
this is where I'm a little bit of a contrarian, a labor contrarian. I think, and I wrote about this in my book.
Yeah.
When I say the word disruption, here's my view on white collar employment. And I'll talk about blue collar afterwards.
Yeah, of course.
I think we're going to see 20 to 50% of white collar jobs, lawyers, architects, software engineers, permanently gone.
Yeah.
Over the next 9, starting like 6-9 months, already started now, next 48 months. And it happened. That's so fast.
You're talking about like transactional law. You don't need lawyers for that kind of stuff. They're not literate. I mean, that to do is right.
Litigation. It's not even just transactional anymore. With agentic and it's just you can
contract. Right.
You can recreate a full orchestration of an entire.
Yeah.
I mean, university professors, like I mean, there's every industry in the world is changing so fast. Like what we do at Simpro, it would have been impossible. Impossible is a strong word. Highly unlikely for anyone to have credibility and say, we can change the profitability of a $500 billion industry. We can triple it immediately. Think about that statement. That's insane. So you're going to see law firms, software engineers, architects, even radiologists. Who do you want to read your MRI? Do you want a human being to do it, or do you want AI to do it? I want AI to do it. So who do you want to read your blood work? Who do you want there's companies like Celebrate that are allowing police investigators and any investigators to investigate 100 times as many crimes once. So took a company called Celebrate, talked to Tom Hogan, their CEO. He'll tell you, he talked at my AI summit that I hosted, he believes that 70% of crimes will be solved within a crime-solving window. Right now, it's like 7%.
Yeah.
Crimes of passion, that's a little different, but everything else is premeditated. And there's so much data out there that you can put it together.
It's also scary, by the way, because it's not always correct. I mean,
it's like that movie,
right?
Yeah.
What's that movie? Right? Exactly.
Report, yeah.
I mean, listen, 1984 is my favorite book. I'm like, what the happened? I missed the days of privacy, going in the mountain, right? But that's reality.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
And you can't ignore it, because if you ignore it and your competitor doesn't, your business is done.
You have to.
So this will be the challenge of our time. And I think that it's going to reshape humanity more than any 5 things combined. And it's happening right now, and we're living in it.
Okay. Well, I think we gotta.
We have 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, want to talk Kaseya? What do you want to talk? Well, go ahead. Doing whatever. No, I interrupted you.
No. I thought you had to already.
No, we did. We just 10 minutes. I'm gonna read. I have 3 minutes at the end, my usual, but my love letter.
Plenty of time.
No, it's fine. We have to.
4 o'clock moved to 4:30.
No, right? You're having fun, right?
Oh,
it always happens, man.
It did. Moved before, yeah.
I'm glad. No, but we want it to be like this.
This is our city.
This is our city, and this is so important to our community. And then, anyway, we're going to keep doing great. So,
and to close the loop in Simpro, I mean, everything that you're doing there, what have been the results? Like, what have been the results of that population of businesses that you're already supporting?
Yeah. So I took over about 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And so the results have been good. So we made an acquisition this is getting a little into the tech weenie stuff. We made an acquisition recently of a company called Delight. And what Delight does, again, I love this AI stuff. The entrepreneur in me gets so excited by how quick and easy you can put powerful things out there with minimal infrastructure.
When you talk about your parents and you talk about AI, you have the same glow. Just so you know. But it's amazing. No, but that shows
like my dad.
How much AI? Your dad would be paying attention.
My dad and Musk would be hanging out, figuring out how to solve all the world's problems. But so with this Delight product, one of the challenges that most commercial contractors have is they offer multiple offerings. Like they might do plumbing and restoration work and all kinds of different things, electrical work. So when they have someone at a job site doing work, they want to make sure that person is promoting the other things that the company has. That sounds so basic and simple. Try to get your subcontracted electrician to remember to do that when they're fixing the scoreboard at the Kaseya Center, when they write their notes and hand in their job summary to the facilities manager at the Kaseya Center. It ain't happening. This technology allows that to seamlessly flow through. which allows like a 25% uptick on follow-on work because like, well, if you reset the breakers and do all the electrical work, you also have a coolant business. Great, because we have so many problems with our HVAC and our VIP in the Kaseya suite. We got to fix it. Things like that. It sounds basic, but it could not be done.
It's great. But that's sorry, good.
I mean, I've spent the last 10 years of my career transforming companies, bringing operational excellence and doing.
Yeah.
It sounds that that's exactly what you're doing for SMBs.
Yeah.
Like you're coming and saying, here is the way you don't even have to tell them. It's like, use our system. You will like now be operating with excellence, with a structure, you're solving all that normally at that level of businesses, they don't even have the bandwidth to it, let alone have been able to gather the knowledge to go and bring in the team and the resources to do this.
The best way I would explain it is we have 26,000 of these commercial contractors. We know everything. We know how many steps someone who's working on a regular maintenance on a Carrier version 624 air conditioning unit, how long it should take, how long they should be on the north, south, west, and east side of it, how many times they should unscrew it. And we record what they're doing. We see what they're doing so we can optimize it. There's no way that a 30-person company can do that. So I'm giving a stupid little silly example, but it's a true AI-powered operating platform. They follow the platform. They change their business. It changes their lives. They can pay for their kids to go to school. They can hire more people. They can invest in their employees. Everybody benefits. And it's all happening right here in Miami. Super badass. Super badass.
So, good. You
want to talk about Kaseya?
Well, no, I mean, let's talk about it for a little. I mean, you've talked about it a lot. You're knowing now, I think but let's, talk about, just, what do you want to talk about? Kaseya?
It's such a big run in
one more thing happened. What?
It's such a big run in his life.
Yeah, no, it's a huge one.
Great.
Ransomware, but and there's so many things that happen
for the city.
I'm still the largest individual shareholder, so we're rocking. But so Kaseya was a great example of, again, luck, timing, and a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
So, Kaseya, so for those who don't know what Kaseya does, Kaseya provides a platform called IT Complete. And it's a comprehensive platform that allows an IT and security service provider, what's also known as a managed service provider. It automates their entire business for them. So for small to mid-sized businesses, architects, doctors' offices, dentists, etc., they're all now dependent upon technology. And so if you go to your dentist and their systems are down, they can't take an x-ray. They can't clean your teeth. They can't do a filling. They can't do anything.
Right.
So they are now fully dependent on the technology. So that dentist has to hire someone to make sure that their systems are always up and running and they're always secure. So they'll hire, Fred's IT guys of Brickell. And Fred's IT guys of Brickell is a 25-person, 30-person IT shop. And I go and I manage 100 dental practices throughout Miami-Dade County and make sure that their systems are always working. Those Fred's IT guys are our customers at Kaseya. That's who Kaseya's customers are. And we have like 40,000 of them around the world. And what our platform does is we provide every single piece of software that the Fred's IT guys of the world need to manage and secure all of the dental packages, everything, all at once.
Yeah.
And we do it at about 1/3 of the cost of what everyone else will do. Now, before we did Kaseya, the way Fred's IT guys would work is they'd have to go and buy 20 different things from 20 different vendors. And those vendors didn't give a shit about Fred's IT guys. They were trying to sell to Carnival Cruise Lines or to Burger King. So we said, what a monster market. We said, small to mid-sized businesses are taking over the global economy. These MSPs are going to spring up and take it over. Let's build something purpose-built for them. So we crush it, and in 14 years, we get to like $1.5 billion.
And then you start with 10, 20 million. It was tiny, right?
Yeah, it was small. It was small.
And so,
we, when I jumped in there, I looked at it and it was early days and the business was struggling a bit. And so we said, let's put it in Miami. It was a small little office here. I lived in Miami. I'm not moving out to California or Hidden Page.
Oh, God, no, my God.
But I'm like, we got to put it in Miami because our customers are small business owners.
Yeah.
And this is like 13 years ago. Miami is still a very inexpensive tier 1 city compared to New York or LA or San Francisco. People say Miami's expensive. Go to Manhattan.
But it used to be, my God, right? It was really cheap.
so
I think, right.
So
Bastards.
we got a great cost arbitrage, no labor competition.
No.
And we got the grit. And it led us, we made like 18 acquisitions. I mean, we did a lot of different things, a lot of interesting things. First structured deal in software, did a huge take private of our biggest competitor. It was a public company. We did things, everyone said, you'll never do this.
Of course.
At least 20 times. You'll never build.
By the way, that's the big.
Yeah, fuck you guys. You'll never build a scale business in Miami. Fuck you. You'll never make Kaseya more than just a
You like to be challenged like that because the people always dismiss or always underestimate.
think they know everything.
Right, of course.
You know, these arrogant,
right,
entitled people that think they know everything. And it's like, no, you're absolutely.
You get it. And it's a big effort. Listen, I feel the same way sometimes, but finish.
And then so, we created what I think, and I'm super proud of it. We've changed thousands of people's lives. Here's a cool story. It's over 150 marriages at Kaseya.
Oh my God.
Like a boy and a girl are marrying each other at Kaseya. 150.
Right. That's standard.
Think about that freaking number. We lit up the Kaseya Center. We put our name on the Kaseya Center.
That's great.
Which is cool. It's like a Miami icon.
Yeah.
We are right now in this studio, Kaseya software is running somewhere.
Yeah,
No doubt. Protecting, Kaseya, it's interesting. It's a word in Sioux Indian. It's to serve, defend, and protect. And that's what Kaseya does. It makes sure that small businesses.
That's where I didn't know that.
Badass.
Sure, yeah.
A guy named Gerald Blackie, the original founder.
Yeah.
His name.
Okay.
And it is synonymous of what Kaseya does for our customers. Done multiple liquidity events and paid out hundreds of millions of dollars to employees of Kaseya, changed lives. So many people bought their first homes, bought their parents their first homes, paid for their kids' college. It's great run. It's still going strong.
We have, unfortunately, just a couple minutes, but I wanted to, and you might want to close out a question, but I had a quick. Number one, and this is maybe more an observation. I mean, it's short, but I know I'm like this. When you stop building, when it gets to like sort of the entrepreneurial, you kind of get bored and want to do something else. I mean,
I don't know if I'd say bored.
Yeah.
I left Kaseya. I had some, both my parents passed away. I had some things that went on. So I needed to take about 6-9 months and clear my head. I think it's not about size. It's about when the challenge becomes something different.
Right.
Something that's not super fun.
For me, that's really difficult.
More bureaucratic, more like
But
the big
It becomes operational.
Yeah, but I will say
the big leap's been done.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of that. I think that the big leaps, if you pick the right market, the right TAM, you never stop being entrepreneurial. I plan the next 9 years. I plan on Simpro being a $10 billion revenue business.
Good.
And it gives a platform to do so much.
So can we tell that Simpro story now in Miami? Are we going to tell that story? Is it going to be the same as Kaseya? I mean, it's going to be more low key, or are you going to
Oh no, it's going to be. I think that
we want to tell that story. Maybe we'll watch that.
Kaseya is my first, my third kid, right? So
Yeah.
my fourth, right?
Yeah, of course.
But I think, I think you're going to see. We're putting up the Simpro towers.
Yeah,
you see our name on the building right down. I think that we should have. If we're sitting here in 9-10 years, if we're less than like 5,000-6,000 employees here in the greater Miami area, what's wrong?
I think that, and I guess we're out of time, but I think that I'm not always excited about things, that, but I get excited about certain things when I learn. And Simpro could be more than just Simpro. Simpro can represent this community. Simpro could speak for what we've lost, I think, in certain ways. And I mean, that's in my opinion.
Yeah.
And yes, I know we're growing and evolving, but we've lost also. You see it, we're a smaller town. And I think that reigniting those trades business and doing it here in Miami, a place that was built by that kind of grit.
Tremendous mission.
There's a great
Tremendous mission.
There's a great, I mean, and I just really see it. And there's a great freaking story to tell that speaks to and we didn't have time to get into all this, the foundation in Cooper, but that speaks to that side of you,
Yeah,
and
I think it's
it is a much bigger.
Yeah, it's perfect built for this city, perfect built for this town.
Yeah.
And where it was, where it is, and where it's going to be.
There's a freaking,
and one of the coolest things I've seen in the 30 years or so in this city is it has not lost its DNA. And that's, especially as it's become a glitzy city, a fancy city, a wealthier city.
sometimes I feel like it has. You're saying it hasn't.
I mean, I still see it. Like, I wish you could have sat through these kids that joined today. I mean,
There are kid knows that.
they just want to
Yeah.
come and crush it, and they're
Timberto.
yeah, they're gritty. It's
DNA.
It's fantastic. I mean, yeah. So maybe it's, you know, if you go to Brickell, you're spending more money at dinner than you were 20 years ago.
That for me, I need to get re-engaged again. Look, I was in Israel, I was in cyber. I think you knew that, but I kind of like took a back step. I was a hermit for a while. Now I'm starting.
We should go hang out, man.
I thought we were gonna hang out.
Yeah,
Trust
100%.
you're like you're tell me to fuck off, but that's fine. But no, I'm used to that. That's fine. I have three siblings too, right? But I guess we're at a time. It's the and I do want to do my usual love letter, you know.
Before you're gonna do it now. You ready?
No, I mean, you want to ask a question, but I just wanted to say, I wonder what your parents looking down right now, man. Because I know they're watching. I know how much you love them, and they're there. You know, I know my dad. What's making them proud right now? I mean, I really think that, and I know you think about that because you care deeply that you want to leave.
Yeah,
right.
That's a great question. I think.
I didn't mean to catch you off guard, man.
No, it's all right, man. My mom wants to make sure I'm being nice to people. Always try to be nice. It's hard
Beautiful.
to be patient. Right. Always be patient. Always, always be patient. It's so easy to just blow people off and be quick and allow the OCD or the rapid. It's be in the moment. My own man would say, get your ass moving. There's a lot of problems to fix, and then get your ass into the political arena so you can fix the biggest problems and make the most people in this great country better. And that's next.
And you know what, man? Leaving that, I swear I have this, people say I'm crazy, and maybe I live in a fantasy, but I'm kidding. But we need to leave light in this world because it impacts every next generation. We don't know how the world's going to be impacted by. And that might sound silly, but I do believe it because your parents are not living here; their soul's somewhere, and you're still speaking to them. What does that tell you?
Man, it's deeper than I thought we could
right?
do this podcast.
No, that's all right. Well, no, man, because I lost my dad, man. I understand these things.
Yeah.
And you're a nuanced person. So anyway, I didn't mean to like pull you into that, but I hope it's okay.
Yeah,
I think it's important, man.
It is.
Okay. And my last question is, and thinking about like where Miami's going, Fred,
Great name, by the way.
10, 15, 20 years from now, with all the people like you that are making big bets in the city, what does Miami become if what we're doing is right? How does it look like?
Yeah, I think that is a very, very fascinating question.
We're good, man. We got the questions today.
I think that we're going to see, I could talk very tactly, vertical as well as horizontal sprawl. I think we're going to see, and we need to see, a continued diversification of the job base. I think that we need to see opportunities for homegrown Miamians, not just in areas like AI at the high end of it, but I think that we can turn into a manufacturing hub as a lot of AI and robotics start driving manufacturing. You need highly skilled manufacturing employees. That's perfect for this place. Perfect for it. I think that Latin America is a big gateway for growth. It seems that the political situation, they're starting to stabilize in some of the countries, both, all around the political spectrum compared to previous, decades. I think that opens a huge growth.
The mayor of Panama, by the way, is a great guy. I don't know if you've met him yet.
I have not.
We have to,
him.
okay, because that's
Epi's in Trench.
Oh yeah, because that's that country.
Mayor?
I was going to make sure.
Mayor, yeah.
But I think we're also going to see. I think that we're going to see Miami as an educational hub as well. Right now, it's like Boston.
Yeah.
I think what we're doing at FIU.
That's right. You're on the board now.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Jeanette is that
She's here with us.
She's
a
bomb.
great vision.
She's awesome.
Yeah,
brilliant woman. And she gives a shit. She actually cares. I think FIU will be one of the top 5 universities in the country. Yeah. The university program will be totally different. I think education will be a hub here. I think you're going to see public and private partnerships working very closely here. I like what Ken's doing, trying to get a lot of things going in the city. I think you're going to see more connectivity from a transportation perspective. I think once we build a little bit of that transportation connectivity, you can keep the more affordable, not low income, but the more affordable neighborhoods because geographically we're not that far apart, right? It's not a huge place. And I think that some of that change, you'll start seeing like urban manufacturing intermixed with a lot of the modern companies. I think you're also going to see a lot of capital coming down. And one of the themes I've seen with venture and private equity, both in technology and non-technology, is this idea of remote work and remote investing. It sucks.
Yeah.
It does not work. It is very challenging to run remote businesses. People say workers want it,
Especially when you're building.
especially when you're building.
Especially early years.
Yeah, it's so hard. And I think you're going to, this community leans into that type of a centralized approach in the way Miami is. So I think you're going to see a diversification of our economy and an AI forward educational process being led by FIU. I think the U's a little behind, but they'll probably catch up. Miami-Dade's doing a great job.
They are doing, listen, right? They've evolved.
doing
But I will say this, though, speaking of FIU, because, and of course I have relationships with all of you, but you know, I have a lot of love for Jeanette, and I understand. I was talking to Michelle about this, by the way, Michelle Lorenzo Palacio, and she was saying that you hired a lot of FIU kids. How'd they do, by the way? I'm just curious.
Probably hired 400 of them.
They were pretty good. Yeah.
Phenomenal. I just put the similar program in at Simpro.
I graduated from FIU in 2013, and I could already tell that it was going to be 10 times what it was because of the moves that we're making that nobody was noticing at a big scale.
Yeah. It's a great university.
So to wrap up that question, how do we fuck it up? How do we mess it up?
Oh, wow, you said fuck. Oh, my God.
How does Miami mess it
I'll
up?
tell you how we fuck it up. If you look at places like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, even Boston, do what they do, and you're fucked up.
And New York, don't get me started.
No, I think we've done a good job. Francis did a great job of keeping the city centered politically. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, maybe lean a little to the right, little to the left.
That's what my tailor always asked me, by the way.
Yeah, right. But the key is little, because the urban areas in this country are so far left. And I don't want to make this a political conversation, but it's like
it's just that they're not working together, right? I mean, call it what you want, but it's just right. It's municipal. This isn't freaking
extremes on either side. And I do a lot of work with the Adam Smith Center at FIU.
Yeah, I love it.
Capitalism is not perfect,
of course,
but it is the best form of elevating the human quality of life that the world has ever seen. And as Miami is an urban area where, like I said before, the left and the right are both, they get along, they talk. You can have a dinner party with your Democrat friends, your Republican friends. No one's talking about becoming a Marxist society. No one's talking about being a religious society. It's just everything's in the middle. And I think that needs to continue. That is how we F it up. I don't see another way. I was asked this question. It was the Wall Street Journal or one of the business outlets. They asked me like 5 years ago, what would happen if there was a state income tax in Florida? And I said, I'd leave because I out of Florida. I go to Texas. Simple question. We're talking about like state income taxes and business moving. It was before COVID. I'm like, I'd be in Texas or I'd be in, Nevada. Like, it's understanding that if business is incented, everything else follows. People have jobs. They can argue about everything else. But making sure.
I almost feel that doesn't matter if it's a city, a country, organization. Once you get late stage in maturity, unfortunately, everything that you said starts coming in, where people start worrying about whatever it is.
How do I maintain instead of how do I grow?
When you're young, youth, I mean, it's the beauty of it, but we just got to make sure we stay on track. Then we got to wrap up.
Yeah, we got to wrap. So let me see. I like to end this on a positive note always, and I think it's important, man. And so I always write something. Fred Voccola. Right, and see the ink's like ready turning red. No, but
very dramatic.
Right, no, but a little dramatic, whatever. But it's real and there's a love. But it's interesting. So you don't actually fit the caricature that a lot of people try to put on you, right? Misunderstood. I get it. You're not a tech bro. You're not a politician. You're not a pedigree executive. I don't know. I made that up. You're much more old school than that. And you grew up in a lower to middle class town, immigrant families, Wall Street rejection, and all that bullshit that went along with that. An arrogant kid, as you said, arrogant effing kid who didn't interview well, but that's not really the reality. That's self-deprecating. It's just not who you were and are. Probably told the interviewer he wasn't that smart, maybe, because he wasn't, by the way. And before any of this, there was your mother, man. Empathy, a mile wide, still watching. Poor Energizer Bunny, but most importantly, gave a shit. There was your dad, also gave a shit. Physics degree, weapons programs. I'm going to cry, by the way. Electronic toll systems, navigation systems, solving a real problem for a lot of people. That's not biography, Fred. That's wiring. That's humanity and systems. You got that from them. And the wiring shows up in you everywhere. That's your formative years, right? It's how you scale. It's how you fight, because I know you like to fight sometimes. You're not afraid of confrontation, positively, but sometimes. But it's how you don't get tired, or you force yourself, through that. It's how you shut systems down, and we didn't talk about during a ransomware attack. Quickly worked with the feds, got on top of it before it could get worse, instead of protecting optics. A lot of people don't do that. We've seen that. And now here we are, man. Capital flooding in, AI compressing, white collar, real estate pushing families out, as we talked about. Everybody talking about innovation, but fewer talking about operators. And what do you choose next, man? Simpro, trades. We talked about this. The middle of the middle class, plumbers, electricians, HVAC, the people who actually build this city. That's why I keep saying it's so important. There's a fucking story here. That's not random, by the way. You might think it is. It's change. It's not. It's alignment. Because Miami wasn't built by consultants or elitists. We were built by trades, by immigrants, by people who improvised before they polished. And some people minimize that world. We talk about that, right? They always do. But you didn't. You doubled down on it. I feel like I've got to give you, I got to take you down a bit. But all joking aside, but you doubled down on it. And here's the bigger thing. And I really keep bringing this up. Miami's at an inflection point, right? Success can crowd out hunger. Capital can crowd out grit. It's what we're talking about. Pedigree can crowd out merit. Evolution selects something. The question is what, right? So if we upgrade infrastructure but lose the operating code, we become something else. We're not Miami anymore. You understand that operating code because you've lived it, man, your whole life, not just in Miami. Mother, father, grit, merit, conditioning, output. So there is a lane here. And I'm saying this because it's important to me too. And I not running for office, by the way. That is not, I don't see, trust me, I work. No, but I don't see, I don't think that's the lane, but not becoming, because you become a civic mascot, mascot, and you're bigger than, more than that, but shaping this blueprint. And Simpro, there's the opportunity, protecting builders, reinforcing middle-class pathways, making sure merit stays louder than resume. It's bigger than CEO. That's bigger than ecosystems. That is ecosystem. So whether you like it or not, man, this city needs people wired like that and needs you more today than they probably even did before. My opinion. So if we lose that wiring, then Fred Voccola, what the fuck are we even building, man? And on that note, man, it was really great to be here. This is really great to, this was a really, I think, we joked around, but I think that, number one, we got to know each other, three of us, which I think is always a beautiful thing. But I think we talked about real things,
I enjoyed it, man. It was fun. It was a little emotional, some of the stuff you're bringing up, which totally was not ready for that. But
I hope that's okay, by the way. Okay.
It's 100%.
Okay.
Like I said, this is our city. It's our home.
This is, man.
Whatever we do to make
emotion, you know what? The emotional is who we are. That's what makes us different, man.
100%. This is great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's just first in the money, man.